Can I take your details?
Am I obliged to?
Well, obviously with the current climate and you're acting a bit strangely filming a police station.
No, I just told you what I'm doing. Photography's not a crime. I'm sat here, I'm waiting to get some pictures of a police car going in and out of the police station to finish off a story that I've been working on.
Yeah,
So I'm not obliged to give you my details because I haven't broken any laws.
do you mind not putting that in my face?
Well, it's not in your face and you came up to me, so...
Yeah, because you're filming a police station.
Well, that's not against the law though, is it?
No, but it's suspicious, strange behaviour.
It is quite suspicious.
No, I don't think it is. And terrorism or current climate has nothing to do with it. Terrorism in Waterlooville, I don't think so.
It can happen anywhere, and it would cause us concern that you're sat here constantly filming a police station.
Well, why are you saying constantly?
Because
I've been sat here for 20 minutes waiting for a car to come around the corner to go into the police station, which is what I wanted to capture.
Which we did.
Yeah.
So once that happened, I'd expect you to stop.
Yeah, you continued to film.
Because you got what you wanted.
Yeah.
And left. If that was
because you got out of the car and then you started walking over it.
From the very beginning, there's no attempt to understand the situation, only immediate demands and assumptions. Instead of assessing whether anything is actually wrong, they focus on questioning personal details, as if simply holding a camera is enough to justify suspicion. This reaction bypasses basic fairness and jumps straight to the worst-case scenario without evidence. Labeling filming as strange doesn't make it illegal. That's a personal opinion, not a legal standard. In most public spaces, recording is allowed, regardless of how it makes others feel. What matters is the law, not perception. Even when they try to justify their actions by referencing broader global concerns, the argument falls apart. General safety fears don't automatically apply to every situation. Without a clear, specific reason in that moment, such assumptions lack legal ground, and treating them as fact only creates unnecessary tension and confusion.
Turned yours on.
Mine's on already.
All right, well that's fine. Well, that's fine. You're recording me and I'm recording you. But I'm not obliged to give you my details because I haven't broken any laws. Okay? And being suspicious is not a crime either.
You can appreciate though, given the current climate and terrorism being an issue, you are sat here.
There's no terrorism in Waterlooville. Yeah. Oh, and understand why you come over to speak to me, but coming over and like, oh, we'll get your details, blah blah blah, I'm not obliged to do that.
Obviously, I'm engaging in a conversation with you.
Yeah. And I told you what I was.
I'm PC Morris.
I told you what I was doing.
Waterlooville Police Station. All I asked was for your details. You could introduce yourself.
I explained to you what I was doing.
And I understand that. All I asked was for your details, for your name.
No, you don't need my name.
No?
No, because
okay,
you stick it in your computer and it stays there forever.
It's not that. It was honestly from me to engage in a conversation with you. Appreciate it. Obviously.
I've just spoken to my sergeant as well.
Yeah.
Under the Terrorism Act, with the climate as severe and the way you're acting.
Calling it a friendly introduction doesn't match what we see. There's no proper greeting, just immediate questioning with a notebook already in hand, suggesting the decision to document was made from the start. The explanation feels added later to soften the moment, and when actions don't align with words, it raises doubts about intent. The situation escalates further when, without clear evidence, an officer consults a supervisor and returns suggesting terrorism-related laws, a major leap that reflects a reliance on authority over clear reasoning.
I'm not obliged to give you my details because I haven't broken the law.
Recording equipment if you are filming the police station under the current climate severe, okay?
It is
that's not. It's not. That's
anyone watching your videos.
You can't seize my equipment.
Anyone watching your videos that you are currently, say, you're live streaming.
Yeah.
Will probably agree that under terrorism at the moment, with the risk as it is.
Well, this is live streaming because if you take my phone, it's not on my phone.
I'm explaining to you. Yeah, I'm explaining to you the reasons why I'm speaking to you, and all I am requesting for is your details. I'm not going to.
I'm not obliged to give. I've not broken no laws.
If you don't give us your details, it gives us grounds to arrest.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That's unlawful arrest. No, that is unlawful arrest.
Failure to give a name.
I've not broken no laws, so that would be an unlawful arrest.
Under the Terrorism Act, I'm requiring your name and address because of your behaviour.
Terrorism Act.
At this point, the logic begins to unravel. Rather than establishing a clear legal basis first, the focus shifts to treating a refusal to provide details as the issue itself. But a person's refusal doesn't create justification. a valid reason must already exist beforehand. Suggesting detention simply because someone won't share their name doesn't hold up, as legal authority must come first, not be constructed afterward. The situation worsens when there are hints at seizing recording equipment purely due to non-cooperation, revealing a clear misunderstanding of the law. Property can only be taken with proper legal grounds and genuine necessity, not out of frustration. As the notebook comes out once again, a pattern emerges. The focus appears less about addressing any specific wrongdoing and more about gathering information without a solid, lawful reason.
You got written permission to sit here and do this.
Right, well, why didn't you tell us that? Can you show us that, please?
Where's your written permission? It's
That's not a public place.
Police station. A police station's not a public place.
Well, it's still paid for by the public, isn't it?
It's not a public place though. Under the
Well, this
definition of
where I
public
am
place.
where I am is a public
Yeah,
place,
you're right there.
and I'm allowed to film anything I can see from a public place.
Within reason, but if your actions go beyond that and are suspicious...
Well, my actions aren't gone beyond that. I've told you
Yeah.
exactly what I'm doing. It's to finish off the end of my social experiment blog that I was making.
Well, you're still filming now, so it's...
I'm filming now for my own protection.
Protection from what?
From you. You're standing there threatening to arrest me under terrorism,
No, I'm asking for your
We
name
asked for
and
your
details.
which I'm not obliged to give you unless I've been arrested for a crime.
I don't feel like we've given you any cause for concern about our behaviour.
Well, he's threatening to arrest me under the
He's not
Terrorism
threatening
Act, which
to
you couldn't
arrest
even
you.
quote to me.
He's not threatening
I'm not going to quote
arrest
every
you.
part of the law.
You're telling me
I don't know
by me
why
not giving you my
word for word.
details.
That's not my job.
You told me me not giving you my details is an arrestable offence.
It's striking that Pinoaki is the one presenting the written law while the officers rely on memory and assumption, because once the exact wording is on the table, the discussion should reset around clear facts. Instead, the argument shifts, with one officer claiming the location isn't public, despite the key point being that Pinoaki is standing in an area accessible to everyone. That distinction matters, and blurring it doesn't hold up. The situation becomes even more telling when it's suggested that explaining the law isn't their responsibility, because if legal powers are being used, understanding and clearly articulating them is essential. Dismissing that duty weakens the entire interaction, replacing facts with guesswork and making the justification far harder to defend.
For you to sit
Which
here
it isn't.
from the police station, which is what you've just
I am perfectly entitled to sit here and film a police station from a public space. In fact, I can even give you the law on photography. There you go.
It says that you do not need a permit to film or
No,
photograph
I don't.
in a public place. It doesn't say anything about filming or taking photographs from a place that isn't public. Photography on private land is not restricted if the landowner has given permission.
I'm on public land.
Yeah, but what we're
But I
talking
can
about
still
is the fact that you're
I
filming
can-
the police station, which is not
From
your house.
that's
Someone
not
else
a
can-
house though, is it?
No, but it's not a public place.
Yeah, but if someone wants to stand outside my house in the public and film it, they're allowed to do that by law.
No,
There is no law
there'll
that's...
be-
No, there's no
there'll be laws
law.
against
No, there's not.
Right.
No, there's not.
After there's permission from one of the bosses in there.
I don't need permission to film the police station from a public
No, as I
space.
said, my suspicions are about your behaviour. It's all very strange.
What's suspicious about my behaviour?
You're
Do you
not
think
talking
I'm a
to me normally.
terrorist?
You're not talking to me
Have I got
normally.
Have I got any bombs in my
You're
bag?
quite defensive about the fact that
Yes, because you've come over here to stop
There's preparation.
me.
We asked you if
You're
you could
trying to
engage
stop
in
me from
conversation.
Her
filming.
response misses the core principle. Just because the law doesn't explicitly state that filming is allowed doesn't mean it's prohibited. In public spaces, people are generally free to record what they can lawfully see unless a specific rule says otherwise, and personal discomfort alone doesn't make a legal activity illegal. When that argument falls apart, the focus shifts to his behavior, as if staying calm or asking reasonable questions somehow creates suspicion. But composure isn't wrongdoing, and seeking clarity isn't interference. It's simply a way of exposing a weak position that struggles to stand on solid legal ground.
Finishing my blog.
You wouldn't even provide me an
Well,
name.
that's because I don't need to.
All this amounts.
Because I'm not obliged to give you my name, that's
You're not
why.
obliged.
Well,
However,
exactly.
when I approached you to engage in a conversation, and you were quite defensive.
I actually didn't want a
Asked to ask
conversation.
questions.
If you had just gone into the police station, I would have left because I got the footage that I wanted.
Yeah, but you can understand that obviously, given the fact that you're sat here filming a police station, it's quite concerning for us.
Why?
It's for officer safety.
What am I going to do?
You're
What
about to
officer
publish-
officer
you're about to
safety?
publish a video showing the registration plate of police cars in a police station.
They're in public all day, every single day. Police cars. There's no privacy in public. That's why there's CCTV cameras, millions of them all around the country. I don't think your colleague really should stand there and threaten to take away my camera equipment.
He didn't threaten to take
Yes, he
away your
did.
camera equipment.
Yes, he did. It's on camera.
Stated.
Once an officer acknowledges that is acting within his rights, the interaction should naturally come to a close. But instead, the reasoning shifts again, this time to officer safety based on the claim that filming vehicle plates poses a risk. That argument quickly falls apart under scrutiny. Police vehicles operate on public roads every day, with their number plates clearly visible to anyone passing by. They are designed to be seen, not hidden. A registration plate isn't private information, it's a public identifier, and recording it doesn't change its nature. Reframing something openly visible as a safety concern only after the fact feels less like a legitimate issue and more like an attempt to justify prolonging the encounter, shifting the focus away from what's lawful to what simply feels uncomfortable in the moment.
You're trying to scare me into, I don't want my phone to be taken. So in order for me to give up my details that I'm not obliged to give you.
If you believe that we wouldn't be able to seize your phone, why would you be recording live to a cloud so that when your phone is taken?
Oh, when my phone's taken?
Well, that's what you said.
Is that what you're saying?
No,
when my phone's... That's why I'm recording to the cloud and not onto my phone.
You said that you record so that if somebody takes your phone,
yep,
that the videos aren't there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I've still got my evidence, because I can't get your evidence off of your camera if this goes to court for me to get all my camera equipment back.
Why would you assume this is going to go to court?
Because if you're going to take my camera equipment, then it's going to go to court, isn't it?
Why would you assume we were going to take?
Because you would have unlawfully arrested me and unlawfully taken my camera equipment. You're trying to scare me into giving you my details that I'm not obliged to give you. I'm not obliged to give you my details. Well, I don't need to account. I'm sat here doing something perfectly lawful from a public space.
Calling it a stop and account after the fact doesn't resolve anything. It's meant to be a brief, voluntary interaction, not a tool to demand personal details or create authority where none existed to begin with. Simply labeling the encounter doesn't replace the need for a clear legal basis, and without that foundation, the explanation falls apart. The reaction to the mention of court is equally revealing, because any arrest or seizure must ultimately stand up before a judge. That's the standard. If that seems surprising, it suggests those consequences weren't fully considered. Once detention or property seizure is on the table, it requires solid legal justification that goes beyond the moment and can withstand proper scrutiny.
And threaten and trying to intimidate me.
Not giving their details is a necessity that we can use for an arrest.
By making me think he's going to take away my camera equipment.
He didn't say that it was a threat that he was going to arrest you at all.
Okay. Am I being detained?
Sorry?
Am I being detained?
No, it's merely a stop and count. I mean, if you do leave, obviously we do have powers.
Are you going to use those powers if I leave then? Because you just said I'm not being detained, so I'm free to go.
You're not being detained.
So am I free to go?
And by all means, if you do leave, it does mean that we would be able to use powers to arrest you on the grounds of suspicion of an offence.
What offence?
My colleague is speaking to my sergeant at the moment.
So am I free to go?
That's obviously your decision.
And I'm not being detained?
That's obviously your decision.
And I'm free to leave? Am I free to leave? What's that mean?
As I've just explained to you, it's a stop and account.
Have I broken any laws?
At the moment, you are filming a police station.
That's not breaking the law.
Which is why me and my colleague came over to speak to you.
That's not breaking the law, though, is it?
As I explained to you, my colleague has basically gone to speak to my sergeant to discuss.
Right. Are you detaining me here?
I'm not detaining you.
Right. So am I free to leave?
I would suggest you didn't leave.
Am I free to leave?
I would suggest you didn't leave.
Why?
I would suggest that you didn't leave.
Why?
I have answered your question. What you do next is up to you.
Well, I know what next is up to me, but you just said I'm not being detained, so therefore I'm free to leave because I've broken no laws.
The next move is yours. I've asked you to wait.
Okay, I don't want to wait. I'm going to leave and I'm going to go home. Okay?
The clearest moment in the entire exchange comes when Pinawaki asks a direct question, "Am I detained?" and receives a clear answer, "No." That response is crucial because it establishes the situation in simple terms. If someone is not detained, they are free to leave, and there's nothing complicated about that. At that point, there are no restrictions placed on him and no formal action taken to hold him there. so the interaction should have ended without confusion or pressure. However, the moment he begins to exercise that freedom and walk away, the tone abruptly shifts to warnings about stopping him and potential arrest based on vague suspicion. That contradiction raises serious questions about consistency, because legal powers like detention or arrest don't change based on someone choosing to leave. They either exist with proper grounds in that moment or they don't.